been dating someone for 6 weeks. Great dates, real connection, regular texting. Question: are you exclusive? In America, you have no idea until someone says, "So, what are we?" In China, you became exclusive on date 2 and just didn't know it. Welcome to Cultural Misunderstandings about Exclusivity, where the same silence means completely opposite things. Let's talk about America first, because we have turned relationship status into a negotiation.
How very American.
Right? In America, you can date someone for months and still have no idea if you're exclusive until someone explicitly brings it up. It's called the talk, and everyone dreads it.
Why the dread?
Because asking, "What are we?" feels vulnerable. You're revealing you want commitment before knowing if they do. You risk scaring them off by seeming too serious too fast, or looking foolish if they were just casually dating you.
So everyone's just guessing?
Yes, Americans will analyze text response times, social media behavior, how often you're seeing each other, all to figure out if you're exclusive without actually asking.
Sounds efficient.
It's torture. I have a friend, Rachel, who dated a guy for 3 months. They were seeing each other twice a week, texting daily, had met each other's friends. She assumed they were exclusive.
They weren't?
He was dating 2 other people. When she finally asked if they were exclusive, he seemed surprised by the question. "We never talked about that," he said. Technically, he was right. They hadn't.
So in America, silence means nothing.
Worse than nothing, it means ambiguity. You could be exclusive, or you could be one of several people they're seeing. The only way to know is to explicitly ask, and even then, people dodge the question.
What's the actual phrasing?
Usually something like, "So, are we exclusive?" Or, "Where is this going?" The person who asks takes on all the social risk. If the other person wasn't thinking about exclusivity, you've now revealed your hand.
It's a negotiation where showing interest first is a disadvantage.
Exactly, which is why people put it off. They wait for the other person to bring it up first, which means both people are waiting, and the ambiguity continues for months. Now, Chinese dating culture operates on completely different assumptions.
Which are?
In China, once you're dating someone, like going on one-on-one romantic outings, you're assumed to be exclusive. There's no gray zone. You don't date multiple people simultaneously.
From the first date?
Well, not the first meeting, but once it's clearly romantic rather than just friendly, exclusivity is automatic. The concept of casually dating multiple people doesn't really exist in traditional Chinese dating culture.
What happens if someone wants to date around?
They'd be considered untrustworthy or not serious. Dating someone implies intention toward a relationship. If you're seeing multiple people, you're either not actually dating, you're just getting to know people as friends, or you're being deceptive.
So there's no talking stage?
Not the way Americans use that term. My grandmother would be completely bewildered by the American concept of, "We're talking but not exclusive." In her mind, if you're spending one-on-one romantic time together regularly, you're in a relationship.
How very simple.
It eliminates the ambiguity Americans find so stressful. But it creates different problems. There's a Chinese-American guy, David, who grew up in California. He dated a woman from Beijing for a few weeks while also casually seeing other people. Very normal for him.
She found out?
She didn't have to find out. He mentioned in conversation that he'd gone to dinner with another woman. To him, that was normal. They hadn't discussed exclusivity. To her, he'd just confessed to cheating. She ended it immediately.
Because in her framework, they've been exclusive for weeks.
Exactly. He thought he was being honest and transparent. She thought he was admitting to betrayal. Neither was wrong. They were just operating in completely different relationship frameworks. So here's where it gets messy in international dating. you've got cultures with wildly different assumptions about when exclusivity begins.
Like where?
Brazil falls somewhere in the middle. There's usually an assumption of exclusivity once you're consistently dating, but it's not as immediate as China. People might see multiple people initially, but once things get serious, exclusivity is expected without needing a formal conversation.
And Britain? We avoid the conversation entirely and just become exclusive through attrition.
That's actually accurate. British dating often works through implication. You keep seeing each other, you stop seeing other people, and at some point you're just in a relationship. But nobody said anything.
How very British.
Filipino dating culture has its own version. There's a formal stage called mutual understanding, or MU, where you're not quite official, but you're definitely not seeing other people. It's a recognized relationship phase.
So what's the actual solution here?
You have to explicitly discuss your assumptions. Don't assume your date shares your cultural script about when exclusivity starts. Ask directly. In your culture, at what point do people become exclusive?
Which goes against the American fear of having the talk.
It does, but it's better than the alternative. You can't navigate cultural misunderstandings with assumptions. You need clear communication about what you each expect.
Even if that feels unromantic.
Even if it feels unromantic. Because the alternative is David's situation. Thinking you're being honest while your partner thinks you're confessing to betrayal. Here's what's really happening with these exclusivity expectations. Americans fear commitment too early, being trapped before you know someone well enough. Chinese culture fears ambiguity, not knowing where you stand or wasting time.
Different anxieties driving different systems.
Right. Americans want optionality until they're certain. Chinese culture wants certainty from the start. Neither is wrong, but they're solving for different problems.
And both systems have wisdom.
They do. The American approach lets you test compatibility without pressure. You can figure out if you're actually compatible before committing. The Chinese approach prevents people from being strung along or wasted time on someone who's not serious.
But in cross-cultural dating, neither system works cleanly.
No! Because if you're dating someone from a different culture, you're both waiting for different signals that exclusivity has happened. You might think you're still in the casual phase, while they think you're already committed.
Which is why that conversation is essential.
In my culture, exclusivity requires explicit discussion. How does it work in yours? Unromantic? Sure. But it prevents months of misunderstanding.
The real culture tip is that relationship milestones aren't universal.
They're culturally programmed. What feels natural to you, whether that's defining the relationship explicitly or assuming exclusivity automatically, is just your cultural script.
And your partner might be reading from a completely different script.
While you're both confused about why the other person is being so weird about something so obvious.
Sounds delightful.
Welcome to international dating, where even basic relationship status requires translation. Thanks for watching this dive into cultural misunderstandings about exclusivity. If you've ever been confused about whether you were exclusive, now you know why.
Next episode, we're tackling public displays of affection. Because if defining relationships is complicated, wait until you try to figure out if you can hold hands in public. In France, kissing on the street is romantic. In Dubai, it might get you arrested.
Subscribe for new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. And if you've survived your own exclusivity confusion, share your story in the comments.
We love hearing how you navigated the cultural minefield.
Until next time, may your relationship status be mutually understood
And explicitly defined when necessary.